internet marketing has made me a millionaire.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Den. We have a very special edition this week. It's me, Bernie, and of course, Jill is here as well. And we have not only one of our favorite customers here, Nilson Silva, Mastertouch Pools, leak experts, and a bunch of other business ventures, but he's also an expert in his industry. And today we're going to talk to him about what it's missing, what guys in that space can do better, and how we can move forward as a community in the pool industry. So, Nilson, if you would mind taking the floor for a second, telling everybody who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Bernie, for having me. Thank you, Jill. It's a pleasure to be in this podcast. My name is Nilson Silva. I'm 33 years old. I'm based out of Coral Springs, Florida. Let's just say between Miami and Donald Trump's house, right in the middle over there, out west. I run Mastertouch Pools. That's my baby. That's the company I started. I'm involved in other different companies. We have Leak Spurts, which is a dedicated swimming pool company that does leak detection and repairs for our competitors, right? For other people that need the help. I found a need that there were no good leak detection companies, so I decided to create one to help my fellow pool members and help them. We have Digging Pros, which is a company that digs swimming pools. So for all the builders out there during pandemic, we had an issue where there were no guys to dig pools. So I said, I'll come up with the money. I'll buy whatever I need to. Let me start one up, and we're killing it over there. We have Step by Step, which is a high-end pool company. We only do swimming pool cleaning for high-profile clients. So we have, I can't say their name, but high-profile clients. It is a very high-end company where we're servicing $1,000 pools in a market that your average ticket is $100. Revenue wise, we're over 8 digits. If we combine the companies, it will be a substantial compared to the market out there. I'd rather not say the numbers live, but if there's anybody that wants to call me, I'm willing to leave my phone number, in my website. Feel free to reach out. My phone number is 561-405-0465. I want to network with the guys out there. I believe there's a room for us to improve. I believe that if we all gather together, we only have one thing, is to gain power, gain knowledge, gain everything that they need. So once again, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to help our members. I want them to improve as I'm improving every day.
Yeah. So, Nilson, when we first sat down to dinner that night, we were all out there. One of the things you said was like, hey, there's no real Tommy Mello out there that's coaching people at a real basic level to grow their businesses and to be better as entrepreneurs. And I wanted to know if you could maybe rehash those thoughts a little bit for people so we can get this going.
The pool industry is a very outdated industry where the guys are trying to compete against one another. There are a few podcasts out there that talk about, being an entrepreneur. There are, pool shows and stuff like the one in Vegas, but there's not something specific like what Tommy's doing, where guys are actually trying to gather together in a sense of, hey, let's kill it in a way where we're going step by step, right? We have a pool show or like a podcast I call Ask the Master, but they're teaching you about the pool business. What I think we're missing is a guy that is going to teach you how to sell, how to close more leads, where to get your leads from, how to present yourself, how to run a profitable business, how to raise your prices. It's something that Tommy talks about often. And in our industry, the next guy is trying to cut your throat out to just land every lead. I'm sure in your business as well. However, we're missing just a new leadership of guys willing to kill it, because we're just not service guys. We do plumbing, we do electrical, we do gunite, we do concrete. We do so many things when it comes to the pool industry, and we deserve to be paid what we are worth.
Yeah, I agree. I think you guys do deserve to be paid what you're worth. And a part of the pool industry that especially we've observed, even at that show and at some other places, there's a lot of, multi-generational businesses, which is awesome. A lot of these guys are a little kind of stuck in the past. You know what I mean?
Correct.
I think you one of the things you said to me and Jill was, hey, some of these guys are still, they're multi-million-dollar businesses tracking everything with a pencil and paper. And I was like, what? Is that even possible?
Correct. It's so funny that you mentioned that. The fact that, so I'm first generation, right? I'm 33. I've been doing it for about 12 years. Started with the pool cleaning, had a little transition into repairs, then remods, and now we're doing pool building. Guys are stuck in a certain way. They're not open minded to say, hey, maybe if I try this software out there, it's going to change the way I vision. When we were at the pool show, and I own a software company right now that we're trying to launch something to improve the pool industry. We're going to be rebranding in the next couple months. But for example, Trello, which is a task management where you have boards in between. I've often went to other pool businesses. I knocked on their door, just like Tommy talks about, and I'm like, look, I'm here to learn. Are you
Yeah.
willing to teach me something that I don't know? And guys would be offended. They're like, what are you doing here? Like, you're trying to like
Wow.
sneak and try to see what I'm doing. No, I just want to learn. I want to shadow you. So I would often call other guys. And when I walked into their room, I would see boards. And I'm like, why is that not on a computer board, shown on multi screens through the office? It's on the boss or it's on the permit runner or what phase the pool is. And I'm like, there's so many softwares out there that would just relate to that.
Yeah.
It's funny that the whole world runs on Excel, right? Everybody has some type of Excel sheet. How can us in the newer generation be able to improve the system so all of us can get better? Because if I'm willing to teach you, I'm going to learn with the mistakes you've made, and you're going to give me ideas to improve the whole procedure of the whole industry. We're going to change it.
Exactly. I think that's a really good point, especially when you talk about getting that, even if somebody doesn't want to mentor you, but like one of the byproducts of something like that, and not just you, but anybody, is kind of getting their feedback about what their challenges are. Like you walk in, you see something like that on the board. Now you know what these guys are kind of struggling to keep track of. And you also know what you're personally struggling to keep track of. And you guys come together on something like that. And then somebody
Yeah.
like you goes and builds out a software. So now we're kind of moving in one direction, right?
So, for example, I went to Vertical Track, which is a great show. I met you guys there as well. It has nothing to do with the field I'm in. I mean, yes, I am in the home service, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not in the garage door. I'm not trying to sell a garage. I'm not trying to do a epoxy floor. I'm not trying to do a cabin. I'm not trying to do none of that. Nothing's related if you think about it. But I was there. Why? Because we're all servicing homes every day. And one thing that stuck me was the type of training that they were giving. We went through the whole facility, and he has a kitchen. And I'm like, man, how many times have I gone to someone's house and I've actually sat on someone's kitchen to try to close a deal? So he kind of mimicked that whole procedure. Now, imagine me telling this or someone telling this to all our fellow pool members or pool friends to the approach of going to the kitchen, having the both the decision makers right with you right there. Another thing that I even learned was like greeting the dog. Like he has a little dog on the door that he literally bows down to the dog. Play with the dog, because if you're welcoming someone's dog, you're automatically welcoming to that person. So our industry doesn't have that. What our industry does is we'll give you a piece of paper. Here's your proposal. I'm out of here. And I'm like, can we just set up a follow-up reminder every 3 days, every 4 days, affiliated, some type of deal to make it all integrate? That's what I think we're missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you
We
think?
have, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what do you think, Jill? Anything about the, I don't know, we know Service Titan isn't exactly the best thing for a pool company and House Call Pro and all those kinds of things. So they're trying to build out this custom stuff. And I know you talk to a lot of different contractors in a lot of different fields. So I was wondering what your input was.
Yeah. So one of my actually main questions for you, Nilson, is say somebody can't come and knock on your door and sit down with you and say, hey, I want to be like you. I want to be all about revenue and new growth and running an efficient business. What are a couple of things that you would tell someone to do, say they're second generation, they're third generation, or they're starting out on their own, what's some advice that you would give them in terms of how to be like you and truly grow a successful company?
So look, the first thing that I tell is be open-minded. There's not, I do believe in hard work, waking up, 6 in the morning and putting a calendar together, making sure you accomplish things, but be open-minded. Don't be stuck to your way is the only way. One thing that I try to do is learn from everybody. I mean, learn from the garbage guy, learn from the pest control guy, learn from the painter, because these guys are doing something, not necessarily because you're not in your industry. They don't have something to teach you. I mean, I'm always the guy that is looking outside my industry. What can I do to bring it in? And there are a lot of pool groups that we're involved in that they'll help out. There's a little bit of that ego between the guys and the males, like trying to prove a point. What I try to tell is I'll literally pick up a phone call and be like, "Hey Joe, can you help me with this? What are your thoughts on this?" I've called Lance, I've called, you know, different peers in different industry just to learn. Like there's a guy that does video in our industry and he does a great job. And I'm like, how can I come up with, hey, maybe send a proposal with a video. Hey, my name's Nilson Silva, right with the video on it. And he's like, look, we're doing this for another company. I'm like, can I talk to that guy? So be open-minded to listen. And you have 2 ears and one mouth. So listen more than what you really speak to be able to just gather information. Like I was at Vertical Track and I'm trying to pick everybody's brain. I literally added everybody on Facebook. And I started, I'm like, hey, can I brainstorm this? How's Service Call working for you? How is Service Titan? Because all the software work is how you implement it. There's a system, but you might want it your way. There's nothing perfect in life, right? So they're trying to create something that does this way. It doesn't. Not even iPhone, the most valuable company, works in things your way. You want to put a background blue on your contact list, you can't. You got to be stuck to the gray. So, but we're using it, right? So there's not a system that doesn't work, right? Like they all work in a certain way. It's how you can adapt to that system. That's what I would say.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's great advice.
And there's always a lot of like roadblocks. Like Joe has a great question about where you would start with things. And I know, Nelson, one of the things that kind of holds the industry back a little bit is just kind of the whole point of this podcast is talking about groups and mentorship and, leadership and peer-to-peer interactions. But like Jill said, to piggyback on that, let's say I'm that guy just starting his pool company out. Maybe I've been a decent salesman before at last job or whatever it is. I've been in services for a while. What are some of the things that coming up, before you even make that you're a six-figure guy or whatever it is in this industry? What happens before that might stop you, that might get in your way, that is like an obstacle that you'd have to overcome?
So the first thing is you got to find out what you need. Does your county need a license? Does your county needs an insurance? And make sure you're protected, because if you grow without being organized, you're going to fail, right? So the first thing is try to put a tracking system to know how many customers you're doing, what your profit margins are, where you want to go. Literally, I like the pen and paper a lot. Even though there's systems, I do also like the pen and paper. And I'll write it. Where do I want to go? What it's going to take me there? How long I expect it to be there, right? So we're doing 8 digits now. So we broke a few gimmicks in our industry where, you're single polar. That's what you're going to be forever. When I mean a single polar, you're just doing pools yourself. You don't have others working for you. And I'm like, look, yeah, that's how we call it. You're single polar. I'm like, look, I'm not great at repairing things. I'm not good with my hands, but I can figure things out, right? And I think it's business is war to me. Like I'm going to where I'm going to go to kill it, right? So I was like, how can I multiply the same idea over and over and over again without losing the quality? So I was like, how much does a regular technician makes a week? So let's say he made $1,000. How many repairs do I need to get it to fulfill that $1,000? Sometimes 3 repairs. So it took me 4 hours to do 3 repairs that made me that $1,000. So I'm like, look, I'm not going to be spending my whole week cleaning pools. I'm going to look for 3 repairs a week to get my first guy out. Now I need a second guy. Now I need to generate $2,000 to keep 2 guys. Now I have 200 pools. So I created a little bit of a system into the pool industry to make it work. So find out who are your biggest competitors. What are they doing right? How long they've been around, who they are. Knock on the door. Find out how you can shadow, because most of these guys might need even help because they're so busy that they can give you a little bit.
Yeah.
I have a saying in Portuguese is, if your tree is giving a lot of fruits, I just want to be under because something's going to fall out of it and I'm going to save that fruit to eat it. So if a tree's giving a lot of fruits, go under it. There's nothing wrong to be under a fruitful tree. So there's so many ways if you open your mind. Just don't be a closed-minded, right?
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. Now, Nelson, I have another question. When it comes to digital marketing, and we know that that's a part of growth when it comes to helping a company grow, what recommendations or advice would you have for somebody who maybe isn't in digital marketing yet, or they haven't chosen to do that for their company?
So I love digital marketing. I love marketing overall because I think it's how you present yourself. A lot of times I was a very tiny company and I presented myself as a big company because in the beginning I was showing up in a Ford Ranger and a $2-3 million business or $2-3 million client wasn't going to give me a big job if I was presenting myself as a little guy, right? I was showing up in sandals, didn't have a uniform. So I was like, man, I got to change that. In order for me to land the $3-4-5 million pools, I got to just present myself different. So it starts with your marketing, not just necessarily online, but your business card. If your business card is cheap, you're probably a cheap company. I don't want to present myself handling a card that when you touch it, it's made out of like regular paper, right? It has to be thick, has to be glossy. So just do a marketing overall along with internet, tracking your leads, know where they're coming, how much you're converting, because it doesn't matter if I put in 10-20% of my marketing dollars back into marketing, but if I'm not tracking, I've got 50 calls, but I landed one. I've given out $3-4 million worth of estimated and I closed at $20,000. That's not effective. So Tommy Mello and Dan Antonelli, they've changed the way I'm looking at marketing, especially because my car wraps would have my phone number, what I did, who I was, the date of birth, my social. It had so many information that I'm like I'm a billboard. I don't even think a regular person could read all that in a single day. Yeah. And I'm like, look, I'm going to change that, right? So we're rebranding starting January. We're just trying to change. And I hired a guy that it's outside our industry, right? Dan is big into HVAC, garage door. He's big on that industry. I'm like, I want that guy to be in the pool industry as well. I'm sure he's done another pool company, but I'm like, I got to change it. So I think marketing is a combination. I don't like just online marketing. I like it marketing overall. And one thing I do, I have it here, like I'll grab competitors. I'll study their own marketing. I'll go on their website. I'll copy what they're doing right. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with copying it in a right way, right?
Yeah.
Adapt to something. Because if you say you're not copying anything, so you don't put an ad, someone else is doing an ad. So you're copying, putting an ad in a magazine, that's copying, right? Putting a website up is copying. So I'm not saying copy every word. I'm saying copy the concept. Copy something that is working. So what I'm doing, like I go to Tommy Mallow, I try to find his landing pages. I'll use VPN to log in Texas, Arizona, Texas, whatever area he's in, to see what landing page is working on that area so I can duplicate into my county or my area, because what might work in Phoenix might not work in Florida. So it's a combination of items, I would say.
And tracking all that. We know that tracking is huge and you have your marketing all together. So let's just say now you're the guy, you're not the single bowler anymore. Or would you call him a bowler? What was it? One bowler?
Polar,
Oh,
like with a
oh,
pole.
the pole. All right, even better. So let's just say you're a polar, right? You're not a polar so much anymore because you got a nice shirt. You got a couple of guys working for you. You got yourself a nice website. Your truck's wrapped. You're trying to get some leads online. And I know
Okay.
that you've been there before. And now you're kind of moving to where you want to go next. Two questions. What do you want to what can you tell that guy to make himself better? And then after that, let's talk about what you personally think you need to know from someone else that might be able to look back and help you. So the first part, go ahead.
So the first thing is he needs to. It's tough to say because he needs to improve himself every day by getting coached by other guys, be involved in a circle that is going to improve himself. Because you can be great at business, but you might suck at life, and life might take. It's true.
Yeah.
If you got too many distractions out there, your business is not going to succeed. So, in order for that single polar to do things to improve, he needs to make sure his life is balanced and set priorities. Because someone might say, I'm well, I'm rich. There's a difference between being rich and being wealth, right? Some guys might be chasing 500 pools, $10 million, 15, but some guys might chasing having a car, a house paid off, and two guys. So know who you are prior to know where you want to go. So I think that's the first is finding out who yourself is. Attend to meetings to help you. Get involved at church. Believe it or not, I have a small group at church that we read books. I'm getting to know guys that are older than me that have done 10 times more revenue than I have, and guys that have failed before that I can learn from their mistake.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing lately to change is getting coached, look for help, not think that I know it all, get involved, be active in the community. There's a guy in our community, he does real estate. All his cars are blue. All his cars are blue. It's called Blue Team Realty. The guy does a phenomenal marketing. I called him and I'm like, I got to shadow you. Where's your office? I want to put an office inside your office. Can you rent me a space? It's like, for what? I'm like, I want to just sit there. I'm going to spend a week there. So the things that I'm doing is looking for better coaches, getting systems in place, reorganizing. There's not a system that cannot be improved. I'm sure if I go to Apple, I'll find at least one item that I'm going to improve.
Yeah.
And last is improve three things every month with your small wins. We have a thing in our company that we say, be proud of your small wins. We want to accomplish so many things. We want to conquer the world, but we are not happy about fixing an office door that it's been broken for 2 years. We're not happy to fix a phone system that it's been broken. We're not happy to not have a form that we can track in the past 30 days, we've got 20 leads. We have to be happy for the small wins because we don't understand the power of 10 years. We want it now.
Yeah.
But a year after a year of improvement, it will be a successful 10 years.
I think that's great, especially when you talk about finding out yourself, who you are, getting to know yourself a little bit better, setting your priorities. And you're not in any way saying don't work harder, don't work. You're saying fit everything else.
Yes, correct.
You need that balance, right?
Look, we've talked about this. I have a pleasure to work, right? I wake up, I get pumped up. Like, I want to go to work. I want to do it. Sometimes my wife, which is probably the most valuable asset I have, as she pushes me through every day. She makes sure my house is on point. She makes sure everything's good over there to allow me to work. I have literally like a pleasure going to work. I rather work than do a lot of things for fun because I don't think I'm working. It's not that if it's like I'm big in martial arts, right? I wanna fight. I do jujitsu or wrestling or whatever you want to call it. I'm very like dedicated to being good at everything I do. Not necessarily not hard work. I think that the more I do it, the better I get, right? Drills, the more you drill, you get better. Your skills gets improved. So yes, work hard, wake up early in the morning. Don't just sit there willing for things to come. I mean, there are times that I wake up in the middle of it hasn't happened lately, but there are times that I wake up in the middle of the night and I have a crazy idea and I'll start writing it. I'm like, man, what if I do this? What if I do that? Will it work? So I am working almost 24/7, but I'm up 6 in the morning and I don't go to bed until probably 11, 12 o'clock. I wanted to be the 5 o'clock club that everybody talks about, but I struggle. So 6 is my time, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. If I'm willing to do what others are not willing to, I'm gonna get to places that they're not willing to go. So
Yeah.
that's a thing that I have in my life. That's a saying.
Oh, yeah, that's good. What do you think about now where you are? Kind of, you've come a long way, right? You have your businesses
Yes.
in the technology space. I mean, you have talent right behind you. Clearly, it's something you believe in, not just developing
Yes.
around you.
Talent means nothing without hard work. So
Yeah.
you got to work every day. Sorry, it was this
And
way.
you're in the middle of getting that by osmosis by being around other successful people. What do you need now? Somebody, let's just say there's Nilsons out there. There's other guys like you out there. Nobody exactly like you. We know that. But there's people like you. What is it now that you want to get to next? How do you see yourself growing from here?
So I want to mimic what Tommy Mello is doing is investing my time into self-improving, because if I self-improve, I'm going to be able to achieve deeper waters that I haven't been to, which is satellite my company, literally, go to Orlando, go to areas that I haven't been so I can double the digits, and literally gather as many people as possible to improve my circle, right? If you're an average of the 5 people you hang with, those 5 guys, I don't want them to be twice as better as I am. I want them to be 20 times better, right?
Yeah.
So it's to be able to network with guys that are willing to get to the next level. So for me, it's literally, I want to do $150 million in pools. That's what Tom is right now. He's gonna be at 300 next year, but I want to do it. I believe it's doable. I literally moved into an area that is one of the areas with most pools in the country. Literally, the city that my headquarter is I think it's the spot with the most pools, and those pools are gonna need to be demoed and rebuilt. I'm 33. I got what, 30 years ahead of me. Like, there's no reason why I'm just gonna get stuck and be comfortable. It's not about the money, right? Money's good, but I see it as a trading tool. I like the challenge. I like what can I do to beat that guy? What can I do to improve myself? What can I do to, make that business better? But I'm not competing with them. It's competing against me having a whole model. I want to beat Tommy, even though he's in a different industry, not because I'm competing with them. It's because it's a challenge that I'm in my mind is how can I improve it? If he's doing 150, I can do it. I'm sure I can, right? I want to read more books. I want to train more. I want to lose weight and set those goals to improve on a daily basis because you're just as good as you want to be.
All right, Nilson, thank you so much for your time on the podcast. We really do appreciate it. Just 2 closing things. One, can you speak to a little bit how digital marketing has impacted your business? And then second, just give us any closing thoughts that you might have, any helpful information to other guys in the pool industry who are listening to this podcast.
Awesome. Joe, thank you once again. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you, Lens. It's a pleasure. It's an honor, actually, because you guys are killing it for my marketing. Internet marketing has changed the way I see my business due to the fact that I literally started with $3,000, right? My first website was through Craigslist, running a little bit of front page. I created my own website. So it took me from $3,000, an immigrant out of Brazil, 12, 13 years old, migrated to the United States, that if I can do it, I believe anybody can do it, right? The Americans, the people out there that have so many opportunities to kill it. So internet marketing has made me a millionaire, has made me money that allowed me to provide better for my family. Instead of staying home and doing nothing, collecting checks from the government, I'd rather pay. So internet marketing allowed me to change maybe 2, 3 generations. Hopefully I can leave wealth for my grandkids. So
Yeah.
Invest it on your marketing, invest it on yourself. Get your website running, buy your own domain under your name. So I own my own domain. So nilsonsilva.com,
Mm-hmm.
it's under me. I don't have a website there because I'm not famous, and I don't plan to be famous. However, I own it because I don't want anybody else to own it. Because if there's an opportunity to benefit yourself, go out there. Marketing is the future. People are getting lazier every day. So you order everything online. You order your Amazon, your food, your groceries. Everything's online. So the future is internet. There's no way people are gonna be on a paper because you're lazy. And that's the reason why I started a service company, because I figured robots are gonna take over eventually most of the things. And one thing they can't take over is building a freaking pool. They might come up with a built pool, but if you want something customized, you're going to have to hire me. So I want, when people are lazy, I'm benefiting from that. So the service industry was the reason why I became successful through internet marketing. So thank you, One SEO. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. I'm getting a lot of leads. I'm happy. And just the caring that you guys are giving us, not necessarily from a marketing standpoint, from a business standpoint. Listening to your podcast, watching it, listening to Lance, and the meetings we had, I've learned so much. So through the internet, I was able to improve myself, not necessarily just my business, but the internet to me is the future. So like Thomas says, I'm willing to pay more if I need to.
Awesome. That's great.
Thank you.
Thanks again so much, Nilson, for joining us today on the Den. Great episode, great information. I knew it was going to be awesome. One of our favorite customers. If people want to reach out to you, we have your phone number in there. Here's your website down below. And if you guys need any help with anything online or digital marketing, me and Joe are always here for you. And we will see you guys soon.
Thank you, bro. Take care. Like you do it. Let's do it.
Boom.
Bye, guys.